even though my passion, like a real passion, is exercise and lifting and CrossFit and running and yoga and mountain biking and snowboarding. Like I love that aspect. That's not a part of Code Red. And so that's the other part.
Welcome back to Young Smart Money with me, your host, Apple Kreider. Today we have Cristy Code Red on the podcast. Okay, Cristy has built this brand, Code Red, from the ground up, and what she's creating is a movement behind people living more healthy lives, okay? And she's been able to build this very, very dedicated audience, this tribe of people that are extremely passionate about her and what she teaches and everything that Code Red stands for. She's a huge celebrity in the area that she's from, and I was just really fascinated. I saw her speak at the ClickFunnels event a few months ago in Nashville, and I was really fascinated by her story and how she was able to really create this brand and create a very, very loyal tribe. And that's something that a lot of you guys have reached out to me and asked about, like, how do you build a very, very loyal audience of people that really support you and that really get behind the mission that you were on and the message that you're trying to spread. So I wanted to have Cristy on the show to share with you guys how she was able to really create a loyal audience of people that are really, really passionate about everything that she teaches and turn that into a huge scalable business that is now doing close to 8 figures in revenue. So I want to share with you guys this progress and this progression that Cristy has gone through and how she was able to change her mindset and change her business to create a very, like I said, loyal following. So without further ado, sit back, relax, whether you are commuting to work or wherever you are today. I want you to plug in and enjoy this episode of Young Smart Money. Cristy, welcome to Young Smart Money. How are you doing today?
I'm doing so well. It's raining in Boise. I don't know where you are, but we're on mountain time. So it's raining this morning but still beautiful.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm over here in Madison, Wisconsin. It's a beautiful sunny day. It's like 60 degrees out. I'm loving life. But Cristy, so our listeners heard a little bit about you in the intro and what you're up to over at Code Red. But could you fill us in, give us like a 60-second intro as to what you're currently doing right now?
Right now, right now we're bringing hope and healing to millions of people all over the world by just teaching them to get healthy by eating real food, drinking water, and sleeping. We're developing other programs, getting ready to have another challenge in May. We're traveling. I just got back from Minneapolis, doing an event in Minneapolis. So lots of really awesome things happening at Code Red, bringing on more certified coaches so we can serve the public more and better and go bigger. So I'm super excited. It feels like every day is something new and exciting and huge and a breakthrough.
I love it. And I'm super stoked to dive into how you got to where you're at. So also I'm from Minneapolis, so got to represent the 612. Yes. But so let's flash back to like middle school, high school. I'm always fascinated with where my guests were at that very young age. So were you somebody who was like in the back of the class, like flipping, I don't even know what, like shoes and clothes? Were you like personal training? I know some of my guests were like personal training their friends' parents when they were younger, but like what were you doing at that young age? Did you have any entrepreneurial tendencies? Were you a good student? What did that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I grew up very poor, I'm the daughter of a minister, and he was the sheriff of our town, my dad. And so we lived in a real fishbowl life, but we just did not have any money. So at a very young age, very young, at 10 years old, I had to learn how to make my own money. All 3 of us girls did. We were raised very tough on a farm, and we were milking cows at 4 a.m. at 30 degrees below zero. So us girls, the 3 of us grew up very tough and had to work at a young age. So at 10 years old, I had bought my first horse that I wanted, making $50 monthly payments. And so that was at 10 for $500. So I ended up making 10 payments. So I think I had the tendencies early on, but what really got me to where I am, I remember an exact moment. And that was my parents let us girls take, and we're just 16, 14, and 11, take the family station wagon on a 24-hour road trip from northern Idaho all the way down to the Bay Area of California to see our relatives. And I remember, we didn't have any cell phones back then, but because mom and dad let us do that, that was the single biggest turning point in my life that turned me into what I am today and I had no fear. And I learned to just roll with it. I learned to find solutions to things. I learned to not be afraid. I learned to not shy away. that was the moment. And from then on, I've always been, I don't have any fear of screwing up. I don't have a fear of some change or something holding me back. So it started pretty young. My parents kind of just instilled in us, like, you can do this. You can absolutely do this. And I just got it. And I've never believed otherwise. I've just always thought I could.
Wow. So when you're talking to other, maybe young people in particular, how do you allow them to find that in themselves? Because a lot of people don't have that kind of self-confidence. They don't have that belief in themselves that they can go out there and accomplish the things that they want to accomplish. So how do you go about like transmitting that belief to somebody?
Yeah, great question. I do. I love talking to little kids, but I love talking to teenagers. We have a Code Red Kids program, but
Mhm.
that's really for little kids. And I want to develop like a Code Red Teens because it's a different way to talk to them. And I'm passionate about this exact question. And so it is so important for me to take that. If someone stops me, I get stopped. You got the hair, and I got a nice local. I'm considered an influencer, and
Sure.
people know who I am. And so I'll go in a gas station. If I have 30, 45, 60 seconds with a kid, I am always about pouring into them. And I do, even though they haven't been maybe raised like I have, or they don't have the confidence that I have or had when I was that age, they do have something inside of them, that voice in their gut. And I tell them at that exact moment, you've got to listen to that voice down deep in your gut. It is in there. Everybody has that, but they just haven't been trained to stop and say, hold on a minute, I've got a feeling. We call it a feeling. We call it a voice. We call it whatever we want to call it.
Mhm.
Some people call it God. Some people just call it a whatever. My inner, I don't know, whatever they. But
Sure.
you've got to listen to your gut. You've got to listen to it, and nothing else matters. It doesn't matter what your parents think. It doesn't matter what your aunts and uncles think. It doesn't matter what your friends think. It matters what you think and what you really believe down deep in here. And sometimes, I'll grab the child by the shoulders and bend down on their level and say, look at me right now. I was nobody. I was poor. I was broke. I was nobody. And look what I did. And it's all because I believed in myself. And this is what you got to do. So I really try to teach them that even if they've never done it before, they have got to listen to that inner voice.
Mm. And that can be tough. I mean, I get a lot of people messaging me every single day. I'm talking a lot about podcasting these days and people wanting to start a podcast, but they're afraid what their friends will think. They're afraid what their family will think. They're afraid if people don't like what they're doing. What are your strategies? I mean, for you, it seems like it's pretty ingrained, like you are doing what you want to do and you are doing what your gut tells you to do. But what are some strategies to get over those objections and like the fear that like somebody might say something negative about you online? Because that's a huge fear for a lot of people.
I learned this pretty quick. And the bottom line is no matter what I do, you'll always get criticized. And it's
Mm.
absolutely gonna happen. And you can live in a hermit crab shell. You can absolutely live and no one will ever say anything to anybody. You'll just have to just grow old like that. But it doesn't matter. I've had my hair long and blonde. I have had my hair short. I've had it dark. Doesn't matter what I do with my hair, my makeup, my clothes. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Someone's always going to say bullcrap. And you put yourself out there, you're going to get criticized. And so you really have to grow that thick skin and be authentic. And we throw that term around all the time, be your authentic self. But trying to make people happy, telling you this just absolutely impossible. And they're going to criticize you no matter what you do, just when you think you got it right. Nobody can say anything about me. Nobody can ever make up a nickname that hurts my feelings. Nobody can ever do that. They will find something to make fun of you about. And they will criticize you. It doesn't matter what. You'll always get criticized. So just stepping back and saying, well, learning that right off the bat, that's going to help a lot.
Mm. That is the truth, because I mean, if you're doing anything, if you're stirring up anything, like people are going to disagree with you. People are going to want to drag you down because a lot of times it's because they are not willing to step outside of their comfort zone and do something. And they see you doing that. And their tendency is just to like tear other people down instead of trying to build themselves up.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's exactly what's happening. It's their problem, not yours. If they're the ones that are jealous and and I tell people, you just got to understand that they are the ones with the problem. You're living your truth and they are not. So they're going to tear you down. We all have those trolls, people that just, they spend so much time and energy tearing us down. And I laugh at it. I get the nasty emails, my customer service, we get it too. I get it too. And it just rolls right off of me. I don't let one ounce of energy, I don't waste it, because I just turned 43. I'm not saying that's old. I'm just saying that I've got to make every second count. So, and the listeners right now, you might not be 43, maybe you're 63, or maybe you're 23, but the time is going to go by. I don't have time to waste. So the second, any kind of amount of time that I waste on trying to worry about what Princess 123 says on Instagram, it's wasting time. What I should be doing is concentrating on putting good content out into the marketplace and out into the world, and making sure that I spread my truth and my voice is heard. Because that'll make you sick. That'll make you sick worrying about what people think. You don't need that bull crap.
So how do you think about feedback from people? Like when you are putting out a product or when you are putting out content online, how do you think about feedback in terms of like getting positive stuff, getting negative stuff, and how do you think about or incorporate that at all?
Great question. Got great questions here. I used to, when I would get a negative comment, I would delete it, right? And I was just like, I would say to myself, well, I don't need that negativity on my page, or I don't need that negativity on this video or whatever. And I would just take it off. Well, then I started taking some courses from Grant Cardone. And he was saying, hey, wait a minute, use that negative feedback for there's some negative feedback that's just nasty, like calling me names or things like that, and that kind of stuff I don't respond to. That's not, but if somebody says, hey, blah, 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 Grant Cardone taught me to say, no, wait a minute. Let's take this head on. And now I take it head on. And now I taught myself, or I practice, actually, if I have an upset client, especially if they bought my program and they're upset or something's not going right, I actually call them on the phone and talk to them. And this is not something I'm good at. And I have to really practice it. And I just put my earpods in and I just say, hey, Sally, it's Cristy Code Red. And Sally goes, oh my gosh, what are you doing calling me? I said, you know what? I understand that you're upset about it. Can we just talk about it? Just tell me how you're feeling. And usually they just open up, and 10 out of 10 times I've ever done this, they are happy. They walk away. So what is that? 16, 17 minutes of my life. I just salvaged a relationship. I made changes. If Sally told me I was misled by the description on your website, I say, oh my, immediately I get the website designer on the floor and I say, hey, can we change this wording so this doesn't happen again? So I have learned so much from the negative, and I've been able to salvage relationships with people because all I did was pick up the phone, call them, and treat them like a real person, which is not something we do very much in business anymore.
Yeah. And it's those things, it's those one-on-one interactions that nobody's willing to do, but that really have the biggest impact on people. Because like you said, when you call somebody up and they're like, it's you, like you're actually on the phone with me right now. Those are the moments that really like define a relationship with the people that you work with.
Well, people say to me, well, you're so busy. I'm not too busy for this. We can all, as the CEO, as the captain of the ship, I have got to make time for things like this. And I know Code Red someday is going to get real big. We're on our way to 10 million. We're going to get so big that I won't be able to make all these calls. But I have staff members that can do them for me. But right now, I'd really like to keep boots on the ground. I'd really like to keep my finger on the pulse of the client and let them just tell me in their heart, just person to person, tell me what's going on. Maybe they just need someone to talk to. I don't know. But every time I've done it, it has worked like a charm. And so I'm so proud of myself for talk about uncomfortable. I was so uncomfortable doing this. My heart was pounding. I was sweating. And I was like, I don't want to make this call. What if they yell at me? And then Grant Cardone said, what if they yell at you? Learn how to stay calm. You can do this. And I was just like, Grant's right. I can totally do this. And I'm doing it.
That's huge. That's huge. And I mean, you said this is a big priority for you. So how do you decide what your priorities are, and how do you determine which things are worth doing and which things are either not worth doing or not worth you personally doing?
Yeah, that's a good question. Some things I do outsource to the my COO or a compliance officer. I do send them down a little bit. I guess I know this is not a real good quantifiable answer, but
Sure.
when I read an upset email, when I read something or I get a message or something like that, I actually just listen to my gut on it. If my gut is telling me, and I'll get a pretty clear I'll get a pretty clear answer kind of from my gut, as hippity dippity as that sounds, if I should be the one that takes this on myself, or if I can go ahead and offload it to the coach. Maybe, hey, your client is upset, certified coach, you go ahead and take care of it. Or if it's made its way, if it's gotten so bad that only I can handle it. And sometimes only I can handle it. But my gut usually tells me, outsource it to one of the other staff members or take care of it myself.
Okay. Now it seems like you're pretty in tune with like what your body's telling you at any given time. How were you able to develop that and really be able to fully listen to yourself and act on those feelings that you get? How did you develop that? Was that something that you've just been naturally good at, or have you been intentionally building that up over time?
I think it's something I'm naturally good at, but I know that when I was young, my parents they worked and they left us alone a lot, and I was raised on a 100-acre ranch where I rode horses, and then surrounding our ranch was hundreds and hundreds of other acres that was just completely desolate, and nobody was out there, and there were times where I would be out on my horse and and I'd be young. I'd be 11 years old, 12 years old, and I'd be by myself, and maybe my gut would tell me to turn back and go home, or to don't go down that road or something like that. And I think some people, maybe say it's spiritual, like, the God is living inside me and maybe guiding me or something. And I don't know. I don't know, but I've had it for all my life as much as I remember. And I've been in some pretty sticky situations where, I'm a survivor of a domestic violence. And there was just, I remember the last time that he had beat me up, I was laying on the ground bleeding, face down, laying in a puddle of my own blood. And of course, that gut voice came up inside me and says, you get up right now and you leave, or he will kill you the next time you do this. And pushing myself, I've done a lot of push-ups in my day, being a professional athlete. And that was the hardest push-up I've ever done. So if I had not pushed myself off the floor and gotten out of that house, I would be dead. I am convinced of it. So I have had to develop that all my life, of just that voice telling me. And you keep practicing it, as I've gotten older, the last 25 years that I've been in this business. So I think just a lot of good practice.
Absolutely. So you've got a really fascinating story, and I want to sort of pick up where we left off, where you had taken that road trip with your sisters across, not really across the country, but pretty far. What came next in your story? Because I know you became a professional athlete at one point. So how do we get from there to there?
Yeah, everybody wants to think that I became a professional boxer because of the domestic violence, but really it was just money driven. I was super poor. I mean, again, my parents just didn't help us, and I was poor, and I was trying to go to college. I desperately wanted to be a nurse, and I'm in college at University of Memphis, and I'm waiting tables and so barely making ends meet. And I took a boxing class, and I was boxing, and this a boxing coach comes up to me and says, you want to fight pro? And I said, buddy, I'm not even interested. He said, for money. And I was like, money? I need money so bad. So I started fighting pro just as a way to earn money through college. And that's all that it started off being. Well, little did I know that I would climb the world ranking system. I would be a decent boxer. And of course, I would, you got to market yourself well in boxing. You can't and it's all about the marketing, how many seats you can fill up in an arena. And that I was good at. And so it just kept going up and up, and then ended up getting my own MTV show and becoming a celebrity trainer in New York City. And so it just got huge. So started off, it was just money driven. And then of course it kept going all those years later.
That's very interesting, and I'm always curious about what people's why is, and that's interesting that your first why was very, very money driven. What's your why right now? Like, what is your bigger reasoning, and what pushes you every single day to get up and to move forward?
My why now definitely is the fact that our society, and myself included, I used to be heavy. I got heavy, and I didn't know. I thought it was because I needed to exercise more, but I was exercising 3 hours a day as it was. And so when I changed my diet and I lost my weight, I realized that losing weight is 100% nutrition, that exercise has nothing to do with weight loss. And that was such a freeing thought that it felt like the weight of the world just came off my shoulders. And I said, oh, this levels the playing field for everybody across the board. This is people in wheelchairs, people with missing a leg, people with a broken back. Everybody can lose weight. And so I was determined to show the world and tell the world that they have hope. and they can be healed by just putting certain kind of foods in their mouth, and not eating other foods, and drinking water and sleeping. And so I'm so I have watched countless times the look on someone's face, and the change that takes place when they realize that this is possible for them. The first time in their life, they actually have hope. So I am driven by that hope. I am driven by that message that I was one of the first people on national television to say to the interviewer, exercise has nothing to do with weight loss. You can lose all the weight you want without having to exercise. And the look on her face and the feedback I got. And I am driven by spreading that message. And I get up every day. I'm filled myself with so much hope, because I know as soon as people hear this and they start experiencing the healing, it's a 180-degree turn. And that is what drives me forward every day, one foot and step in front of the other. That's why I get up early. That's why I get dressed every day. That's why I am pounding the pavement every day, because people need to hear this message.
That is what's going on. So what got you interested in the health space? Was it your nursing program? Was it being a boxer? Like what got you into this field to begin with?
I started off as a personal trainer, and for as long as I can remember, I've wanted to be a muscular girl. I was naturally built, being that we were raised on a ranch and bucking hay and milking cows and stuff. My sisters and I, my mom, we all have a muscular build. And so I remember seeing a female bodybuilder on TV, and I think I was 14 years old. And I said, oh, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I love muscular women. I think they're just gorgeous. And so from that moment on, I've always wanted to be a muscular girl, with weightlifting and stuff. So I got into personal training, and I've been doing that for 15 years before I had realized that I made the shift over to nutrition only. And so that's what I've always been healthy. I've always been, into exercise. I exercise every day, but I made the shift over in nutrition when and kind of got out of the exercise, teaching exercise and stuff and training. I don't train clients anymore. I just do it, I just do it as a way to keep myself healthy. But I pretty much only do the nutrition because I know I can reach more people. As soon as you start talking about exercise as somebody who's confined to a wheelchair, they're going to turn you off. But if you say, hey, doesn't matter that you're in a wheelchair, I've got proof that you can still lose weight, you're going to be okay. So that's when I'm trying to reach the most amount of people and scoop them up with the biggest bucket, and sticking to just nutrition only, even though my passion, like a real passion, is exercise and lifting and CrossFit and running and yoga and mountain biking and snowboarding. Like, I love that aspect. That's not a part of Code Red. And so that's the other part of Cristy, but just not Code Red.
That's very interesting. Do you think you'll ever integrate exercise into like some supplemental stuff, or?
Yeah, so we do have Code Red 2.0 that we're developing. It's going to be called Code Red 2.0 Life After Weight Loss. And what I do when someone loses the weight, I do want to show them a 12-week program, because they want me to teach them exercises, which is funny to me because I've been out of the game for a while and I don't know as much about it as I used to. And there are plenty of people out there that are better trainers than me, but people, they want me to do it. So I'm going to be developing some exercises where people can start off just doing them in their living room, just gentle, and then work their way up into lifting, because it is 100%, hands down, without a doubt, a very healthy aspect of your life. And you can't get away from it. But we do that after we've lost all our weight. Then we start strengthening and building and adding in that cardio aspect.
Absolutely. So talk to our listeners a little bit about like the core pillars of a healthy diet and healthy living. I know at the beginning you mentioned whole foods, potentially. It was something about whole foods, sleep, and water. But what are like the main pillars of having a healthy diet?
The number one biggest component to weight loss and just overall healthy living is sleep. There's no way to get around it. You have to sleep. If you're not sleep, I like to tell my people, you ain't sleeping, you ain't losing, because your body senses a lack of sleep as a stress and will hang on to body fat as a way to protect your vital organs. And so people think, well, I'm eating perfect, I'm exercising every day, but I'm only sleeping 3 to 4 hours a night. You are sleep deprivation is the most effective form of torture. So we have to get people sleeping on Code Red. If they come to us and they're saying, I want to do Code Red, but I don't sleep very well, we have to get sleep under control. or you will just fall apart piece by piece by piece. You can't maintain a good life. And we're chronically sleep deprived in this society. So we have to get sleep under control. The number 2 is water. People are drinking, I have people drinking a gallon of water a day. And this is not the first time any of the listeners have heard this. This is not new stuff. I mean, I'm not reinventing the wheel here. This is stuff that you guys have all heard before. But people, and they say, well, I can't drink a gallon of water. Yeah, but you're drinking Diet Coke and Red Bulls and wine and lattes and orange juice. You're drinking everything else. You take everything else out of the equation and you actually have to drink your water. Oh, believe me, you'll gag down that water. You'll be fine. So water is, we are, again, chronically dehydrated in this society. And we're finding so many positive correlations between just good water, just flat out water, and good health and weight loss. And then the other thing is eating real food. So I take people off the processed crap, the drive-through. I'm trying to get people out of the drive-through, back into the kitchen. And that doesn't mean you got to spend hours food prepping, but you need to start eating real food. We all know what that is. And my clients lose 10% of their body weight every month by just following these 3 simple rules. It sounds like it's too good to be true, but I get just as much weight off people as bariatric surgery. So it is truly the answer. And people are being healed. They're getting off medications. So those are the main pillars of Code Red.
I love it. I love it. And yeah, I mean, that checks out to me. And I mean, like, I know personally, just from my own experiences, like if I'm not sleeping, I'm not feeling great. I'm not excelling. I'm not making good choices. And sleep is really so determinant of like how my life goes. Like if I'm not sleeping well, I'm not living well. And I think that's just a huge thing. And I'm stoked. Like that's like the main first thing that you guys focus on.
And people say like they have this kind of this martyr. I got the mommy martyr attitude. The mommies,
yeah.
They act like they have this like badge of honor because they're only sleeping 3 hours. Well, well, wait a minute. Well, I function just fine. Oh, I don't know about function. I mean, you're barely getting by, And so
yeah.
I don't like that attitude of like we all should be proud because you're able to know. And I'm with you. If I can have one bad night's sleep, but man, I can't get a second. I am no good. I'm drooling. I'm grumpy. Of course, you get snacky because your body looks for sugar as a way to try to up your energy. It's not good for me. My skin gets ashy. My weight goes up. So I'm with you. I don't do well on no sleep.
Yeah. And I mean, you said with moms, that's a big thing, but also with college students. I mean, like the amount of people bragging about the 30 minutes of sleep they got last night and the 8 Red Bulls they've drank in the last like 2 hours is just, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. You can't function like that. People are barely getting by. And it's got to stop. And people say, well, I can't get more sleep. No, you're scrolling through your phone and you can absolutely turn off your devices and put up some boundaries and go to sleep. I don't buy that bull crap from people. They do have time to sleep if they just quit doing the other bull crap.
Exactly. It's a matter of priorities. It's not a matter of time.
Yep.
All right. So Cristy, you have a very, very loyal and like dedicated audience. Like the people that I've talked to about you are like extremely passionate about you and what you're teaching in Code Red. Talk to us because I know me personally and a lot of our listeners who message me are very curious about how they can start to build their own personal brand, but be like a dedicated tribe of people that are really passionate about what they're talking about and really get on board with the mission that they're spreading. So how are you able to develop this extremely passionate audience?
Yeah, thank you. I do. We call them rebels because we rebel against what society has brainwashed us into believing. And so Code Red rebels are very loyal and they're big Cristy followers and everything. And if you're listening right now and you're an entrepreneur, you're building your own brand, the way I have done this is I have built a relationship with these people because this is online, by replying to every single comment. So, it sounds like, well, really, Cristy, that's your nugget of information. I'm telling you right now, you have got to actually reply to these guys. So Facebook, they say, you put up a video on Facebook and people are saying, hey, great video, thanks. You do not just click like on that comment. You say reply, and then you highlight their name and say, thank you so much, Sally, I sure appreciate you watching. And then the next guy, hey, great, I learned a lot from this video. Appreciate you putting it up there. Hey, Bob, thanks for the comment. It doesn't matter what you say, but you have to make them know that you heard them and that you appreciate them. And I have done this for years. I mean, it's so funny because, now Code Red's gotten big, but I put in years years of grinding to get to this level. And so now, but and you might say, well, I get so many comments, I can't do all this. Well, then you better hire an assistant to log in as you and do that, because you can get some help. I have an assistant that helps me, but I get about 150 DMs per day on Instagram. I answer every single one of them myself, and I answer them within 24 hours. And so I try to do some I might miss, but I make sure I stay on top of it in groups of 10. I mean, I multitask. So you can absolutely do this, but you've got to build a relationship with these people. You have to make them know that their voice is heard, that you recognize, that you appreciate their follow. And they will, of course, people buy things from people they know, like, and trust. Once you build that trust and once they get to know you, they will start buying your product.
That's huge. And ever since I started creating YouTube videos, probably close to about a year and a half ago at this point, I've replied to every single comment I've gotten, because it's just, that's one of the highest ROI activities you can do, is like engage with your audience, make them feel heard, and just allow them to form that deeper connection with you. Because if they're just leaving comments, they're not getting any replies, chances are they're going to stop leaving comments. They're going to find somebody else who will engage with them. And then you're not going to be building your audience.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And people they want tips from me too. They'll say, just a little comment. They'll say, hey, Cristy, I'm allergic to dairy. What can I have instead of milk? Well, don't be a dick and say to somebody, well, then you need to buy a custom program if you want, you need to buy one of my products if you know. I just say, hey, Sally, a great milk alternative that I use is flax milk. You can get it off Amazon. Put your Amazon affiliate link if you want, I mean, but answer their question, all right, and they're going to come to you when they have another question, and they will buy your product. They'll buy your sweatshirts, they'll buy your beanies, they'll buy the stuff that you have out there, your home study course. They will buy it if you just take the time to answer their little puny question. It's not that hard to do. You're not giving away all your knowledge here. And they feel appreciated. They do.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, that's a struggle for a lot of people. They think they're going to like give away everything for free if they don't say, hey, if you buy my coaching program, then you can find out how I do this. But I think it's really important to focus on providing as much value as you can for people, because that's how you're going to build that know, like, and trust factor that's really going to allow you to go deeper with them.
Yep, that's exactly right.
So talk to us about how you structure your day, structure your week, because I'm always curious about how much or how little structure different guests have in their life. So do you have a very strict calendar and schedule that you stick to every single day? Do you dedicate certain days to certain tasks, or what's that looking like for you?
Yeah, and I am a very scheduled, strict person. I'm naturally, I probably should have been in the military. I'm very regimented. I get up at 5:30 every morning, sometimes earlier. I travel also almost every single week. And so I maintain a strict schedule even when I travel. So I get up at 5 or 5:30 and I work out. Hands down, first thing I do is work out. I'll either go to CrossFit, I'll either run with the dog. I have an 80-pound dog that has to have exercise every day. We'll run in the dark. I have a headlamp, I have glow lights, I have everything I need. Or I'll do, like, it was raining in Boise today, so I did burpees in the living room. But every morning I start off with exercise. I start to hydrate. I go and get completely ready, hair and makeup done, no sweatpants, no ball caps. I mean, I believe I want to put my best foot forward every day. Almost every day I'm on videos, and I make sure that I look my best, I feel my best. I eat on a certain schedule. I have a certain eating window where I have a certain diet that I stick to with an eating window that's right for me. And then I have my first 3-hour window is going to be emails, catching up on whatever happened the night before. And then it'll be like, midday, I might spend time with my husband, might take the dog out again, come back, do another 3-hour chunk of videos and work, then sit down with Miles again and eat dinner or whatever the schedule is. So I have chunks where I'll work in a 3-hour chunk. It'll be wake up, exercise, 3-hour chunk of work, then eat, then a 3-hour chunk of work, and then errands, and then a 3-hour chunk of work. I mean, I am definitely one of those people that I'll work good 16 hours a day, 14 hours a day. There is no downtime, nor do I want downtime. I do not watch Netflix. I do not, and I'm not trying to say it's like a badge of honor. It's just not a great use of my time to sit down. And sometimes I do get saturated. My brain really gets saturated, and I'll need to kind of like just stop and watch something mindless, like maybe a cooking show. I don't cook, but it's a way I can kind of step away. That's maybe a half hour, and then I'm right back at it. Lots of videos to do, lots of things going on, staff meetings. stuff like that. So I work my best in 3-hour chunks, but hands down, I always get my water. I always get my sleep. I always get my exercise, especially on the road. That way I don't swell up too bad. That way I'm not grumpy. People always say when I'm traveling, they're like, oh, I wish you'd come over. Wish you'd go out with me. Well, first of all, I'm not a night person. Second of all, I'm not going to, because all they want to do is pick my brain. So
Yep.
I'm not going to do that. So I stick to my regimented schedule of sleep, water, and exercise, hands down, no matter what, no matter where I am, no matter what part of the world I'm in.
So it sounds like you're extremely, extremely disciplined when you are getting work done. Is that something that you have developed over time, or how have you been able to maintain that strict discipline of being able to sit down for 3 hours, grind out on what you need to grind out, and potentially work for like 16 hours a day?
I think that I have been like that. I think as long as I can remember. However, it's gotten more so. The more my popularity grows, the more influence I've started getting,
Hmm.
because people are very, very closely watching me, and I do put my life out there on Instagram. I am very transparent and real, and I often will do live videos from my car and things like that. So I'm very transparent and open, but they're always watching. So I want to put my best foot forward, and I always want to be on my best behavior. So if somebody catches me, drinking alcohol, I don't drink alcohol, but sitting on the couch, just binge watching Game of Thrones and drinking and eating popcorn, that's not really the kind of message I want to send out there. And so I don't feel like doing that. But if I ever did, I would not. Because what if someone happens to just look in and see me? It's just not an image I want to portray. So because I'm so carefully watched, it actually helps keep me even more rigid and on the straight and narrow.
Huh. Is that one of the reasons why you use Instagram stories so much? Because I always notice you're posting consistently in there and always like reaching out to people and doing live videos as well. Is that one of the reasons why you're doing that so much?
Yeah, and it does. Putting myself out there like that, it also, of course, it puts content out there, but it holds me accountable.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, I just can't say, hey, this is what I'm eating, and then turn around, turn the video off, and then have a bunch of junk food. Even though no one's seeing that part, I know it. And it's just so I put the content out there partly for content and partly for accountability for myself. Because if nobody was watching, I would be disciplined, but definitely not as much. And I don't, that's just your honest, real answer, because nobody does well with no accountability. That's what I've seen in my weight loss, so I definitely want to, and I want people to see all angles of my life. Right when I first wake up, right when I'm laying in the bed. I had an argument with Miles yesterday. I was frustrated. Just different things going on. I want to put it all out there so that people see all aspects, and they can stay on track, and they can, hopefully my story will resonate with them, stuff like that.
I love it. So what are some of the best strategies that you could give our listeners if they want to be able to be more accountable for their actions? Maybe they set these goals, but they're never reaching them. They're always saying, okay, I'm going to start doing this, or over this next month, I'm going to do this. And they never do it because they don't have somebody to hold themselves accountable with. They're not telling other people about their goals, or like, what can they start doing to keep themselves accountable to the things that they want to accomplish?
The first mistake that the listeners are making, I'm telling you guys, listen to me right now. I know what you're doing. You are putting too many goals in place at once. That's what you're doing. You're demanding too many things of yourself. Think of New Year's resolutions. Everybody screws up New Year's resolutions because they want to do all these things at once. I want to eat right and exercise and pack my lunch to work and you're trying to, a lot of you guys came back from Funnel Hacking Live and you were like just out there like, I'm going to do them, I'm going to take on the world. and then you failed at all of them. So I love it when you pick two things. Pick two things that you're going to implement. That's it. If whatever it is, pick two things that you can stick to, and don't try to worry about the other ones. Because once you stick to those for a while, then you will be able to slowly add in one at a time. But you pick too many things, you're not going to stick to any of them, and then you're going to feel like a failure, and that's going to totally snowball itself into just all this self-loathing and this shame and the crap you don't need. So let's think of two things that you can absolutely do right now, or starting tomorrow morning, or starting tonight. Maybe yours is that I want to get in bed 30 minutes earlier and turn off my phone, or maybe yours is I want to be able to drink a liter of water every day. I don't know, start small, but it's got to be something that you can do, and it's consistently every day, no matter what. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Just pick two things, and then it'll build from there.
Hmm. So how do you think about like structuring a goal in and of itself? So for you, would one of your two goals be like something like drinking water every day? Would it be something more complex that's going to take a while to get to? How do you like to think about how big or how small or how focused the goals that you set are?
It depends on if there are any other goals in place. But
Sure.
if you have no goals in place, you really want to start simple.
Hmm.
You really want to start. I believe in the health aspect. Of course, that's a lot coming from me, but I don't think that an influencer can put out good content if they're a mess. If they've got dirty dishes, and if they aren't getting out of their sweatpants every day, and they haven't showered in 4 days, and they're 60 pounds overweight, you have got to get your health in order. You will not be able to put out good content, and you're not going to, all that's going to suffer. So I like to start with yourself first. I say let's pick very, very simple stuff that you can do to improve your health first, because once you start feeling better, everything is going to come into line. You're going to be a better spouse, you're going to be a better parent, you're going to be a better business owner. Everything's going to fall into line. So I start with a real small goal that has to do with your health first. Of course, I would probably say something like that because that's the industry I'm in, but it really makes sense if you think about it.
Hmm. And then is your strategy for like long term mostly just accumulating a lot of small goals and letting that build on itself, or setting big goals and like chunking them up? Or what does that look like for you?
Well, I definitely am all for long term. So I think you should pick a goal that you can stick to long term.
Hmm.
Uh, like, I don't see any reason why all of us can't drink a gallon of water a day for the rest of our lives. I think that's perfectly healthy. We know it's healthy. We know it's something you do for the rest of your life. So I say do that. I can't maintain a bunch of goals for the rest of my life. So even I don't even have that. So I don't believe in accumulating a lot of goals. I mean, Grant Cardone gets up, he writes out his goals for the day. He's got his few. I have maybe 4 or 5 that I maintain every day without question. Maybe 4 good, solid, hard goals. So that's probably about all that I will adopt for the rest of my life, but because I know that's what I can handle consistently with no problem. So I don't believe in getting a whole bunch unless for some reason you can handle that kind of pressure. But you got to remember, it you feel shameful when you aren't able to, and we don't want that. We don't even like the word shame. So we really want to keep it simple to where you could actually do it every day.
Exactly. And being able to focus intensely on a couple things, do them very well, instead of trying to like spread yourself too thin and do all these different things and end up doing none of them at the level that you actually want to accomplish.
I'd rather see 10 good push-ups than 50 sloppy ones. So I same thing with you. Don't slop your way through 12 goals. Let's pick 2 or 3 and make them solid and make them count. Make them good quality.
Mm, absolutely. Christy, you're somebody who's very confident and very convicted in the words that you say. When I saw you speak at Funnel Hacking Live, you definitely are very good at making people feel a certain way and take action. How have you developed that skill, and how have you developed your conviction, your confidence, and your just ability to really influence people?
I think a lot of it has come from my own program, watching my own program. So when it comes to Code Red, watching my program work for started off with hundreds of people. Now it's into the top thousands. Now it's into the 10,000 and 100,000s of people that have come through my program over the years. So the more people come through my program and the more people that are healed, my confidence keeps going up and up and up and up. So hands down, without a doubt, just from the watching it happen, I know that I am the best at getting weight off people. I'll put myself up against everybody. So as far as Code Red goes, I've watched the program work so many thousands of times that I know it works. So that's my confidence comes from watching the program work over and over and over. As far as my own self, watching myself go through so much heartache and so much disappointment and pulling myself out of that over and over and over, that gives me the confidence every time that has ever happened. And Lord, I hope that does not happen. I hope I'm through the hardest part of my life. I mean, heaven forbid I go through something tragic again. I will be ready for it. But having gone through so much tragedy and so much crisis and getting through it unscathed, that has made my confidence go up. I mean, you talk about 15 professional fights. and just the broken noses and the black eyes and dislocated this and cracked ribs and that and all those injuries, and being able to continue to fight after fight after fight. Having gone through domestic violence and getting up off the floor and leaving, having gone through just different relationship problems and different things where there were tragedies and crisis, I've gotten through them. And so I know, heaven forbid, another tragedy strikes me, I'm going to be all right, because I've been through so many of them. I've gotten through those. I'll draw from that strength that I built before, and I know that I'll be okay. I have a good faith system. I have good family. So I have all the confidence in the world that if some sort of crisis or tragedy strikes me, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be able to rebuild. I'm going to be happy again. And that's because I've been through so much, and I've gotten myself through it.
How are you able to draw so much strength from those hard times? Because I know a lot of people, when they will experience hardships and stuff like that, it's very easy to allow that to paralyze them. And it seems like for you, you have a lot of this internal strength that you've built up to be able to push through things and to not let those things stop you in your tracks. So how have you developed that over time? And yeah, talk a little bit about that.
I think if it started in my childhood, if I was out by myself on my horse in the middle of nowhere, and if I got hurt, I knew in my head that there was nobody out there to help me. So I needed, let's say I fell off my horse and I couldn't, maybe I hurt my arm and I couldn't pull myself back on that horse to get home. I knew there was nobody else there to help me. So there was no other choice but to get myself back on that horse. I mean, you couldn't scream loud enough. Nobody's coming for you, Cristy, so get back on the horse. But a lot of my strength that I have right now standing before you and talking to all you guys right now is from my boxing career. Because I know that in one of the old Rocky movies, and I know he said this, that it doesn't matter how much you get hit, it matters how much you get up, or however Rocky said it. But then that's true. You get beat up over and over and over, and you continue to get up, that's gonna be the determining factor. That's gonna build the strength. So I kept getting up over and over and over and over and over through boxing. You can't stay down. You have to get up, and you just learn there's just no other option.
Exactly. Cristy, I have some questions that I'd like to ask all of my guests before we wrap up the show. Are you feeling ready for them?
Yes.
Awesome. Let's do it. The first thing I'm curious about is, what are you excited about right now? This could be something in your business, in the wider realm of health and wellness, but what's something that has you genuinely excited about right now?
I'm excited that on Code Red, although Code Red is not a true ketogenic diet, the ketogenic diet is getting a lot of press, and a lot of people are finding hope and healing from the ketogenic diet, and that's what Code Red is a lot like. And so I'm excited about that. I'm also excited about Code Red developing another program that's going to help people stay with us longer for a less price, for a more affordable price, and we're going to be offering financing. And I'm also excited about lots of travel this year to actually go all over the country and meet my rebels.
That's super exciting. I'll have to keep up with that on your Instagram and see if you're coming anywhere near me anytime soon. Cristy, what habits do you have that have served you particularly well? These could be health related, lifestyle related, business related, but what do you do on a routine basis that helps you level up?
Definitely. Again, you guys have heard me say this, but every day, no matter what, I stay on the scale to make sure that my weight is staying down. Every day, no matter what, I drink my water, and every day, no matter what, I exercise, and I always, always, always fiercely protect my sleep. And then also I protect my thoughts. It sounds a little hippity-dippity when I say this, but we all have crap that comes on our mind, and it simply doesn't belong there. And if I start having thoughts that creep in, just like all of you guys do, I can't seem to I can't seem to get my mind up, I say out loud, stop it. You don't need to belong in my head. Stop thinking this. This is ridiculous. And I purpose to think a different thought. So I'm very fiercely protective of my thoughts, because thoughts become things, and you have to watch those thoughts.
That is huge. That is something that's very essential, because you can let all those bad thoughts creep into your head and really self-sabotage there if you're not careful about what you are listening to and what you're letting get in there. Cristy, I know you said you live a very regimented schedule. Is there any content that you're consuming right now, whether that be books, audiobooks, podcasts, YouTube channels, any content that you're currently consuming?
Yeah, I'm listening to a book on audio by Dean. What was it? Successful Millionaire Habits of Successful Millionaire.
I got that right over here. Millionaire Success Habits.
That's the one right there. Millionaire Success Habits. I'm listening to that on audio, on Audibles. I like to listen while I run. I like to multitask for sure. I don't think there's ever a time that an entrepreneur I think we need to multitask, and we need to be consuming good content like that all the time. I went through all of Grant Cardone's books, and then now I'm working on this book.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I got a lot out of that book, and I'm totally with you on the audiobook side of things. Whenever I go to the gym, whenever I'm just walking to class, I've always got my earbuds in, listening to some or other that's helping me get to that next level.
Yes.
Cristy, we talked a little bit at the beginning about things you do that don't scale and how you would go out there and call up your customers that had problems with or questions or concerns about the product. One thing that I do that is not very scalable is every single day I'll send probably 5 to 10 video DMs to just new followers. I'll just go through my new followers and like pick 5 to 10 people, say, hey, what's up? My name's Apple. Appreciate the follow. Let me know if there's anything that I can do for you. Have a wonderful day. Just something simple like that. But do you have any other sort of things you do in your business that have that personal, like Cristy touched them, and that can't be, or that you don't mass produce?
Yeah, that's a great, and what you do is, I'm going to learn from that. That's a great idea. What I like to do to try to serve on a bigger scale, but try to get a little more personal, is I do 2 things. I'll do Ask Me Anything on Facebook Live, to where I'll just go live and I'll just do open forum Q&A. And it'll be rapid fire, because it'll live lead to 15 different groups. So there's hundreds of people that are typing in questions, and I'll just kind of look at the bottom of the screen and rapid fire answer questions. There's so many questions. And then the other thing I do is I'll do the ask a question on Instagram stories. And that really helps people to engage and to get their questions answered on Instagram. So those are kind of the 2 things I'm working on right now that help me as far as on a bigger level, but still try to have that personal touch and get people's questions answered.
Exactly. So you've got a lot of people that are trying to get a hold of you and trying to get questions answered. So you got to find those ways to be able to hit a lot of them at once.
Yes.
All right, Cristy, you've been dropping a ridiculous amount of value on our listeners. I am so thankful for you to be here today. Where can our listeners go if they want to find out more about you, more about Code Red, and follow up with you at?
You can go to coderedlifestyle.com if you want to learn about our programs or see what's going on, get my book, audio book. We have all kinds of products out there to help serve you. We have counseling programs, whatever's going on. We also have a challenge coming up in May at 10poundtakedown.com. A couple of different places where you can follow me. And then Cristy Code Red on all platforms that you can jump on. And I'm pretty active on social media. So I'd love for you to follow me, and I'll follow you.
Awesome. And I'll provide links to all of those social channels and your website in the show notes for this episode. Cristy, do you have any parting thoughts, any last words of wisdom for our listeners here on Young Smart Money today?
Probably the last thing I want to tell you is you guys have got to stop being so afraid to say what you've got to say. Don't forget, the world needs to hear what you've got to say. So just put it out there. It doesn't need to be perfect. Done is better than perfect. So put it out there, see what happens. It doesn't matter if nobody's listening. Eventually, there's a saying on social media, just because they don't follow you doesn't mean they don't follow you. So people are watching, they're listening, and it's going to resonate with someone. So if you think you've got a message, put it out there. Don't be afraid. Just do it.
I love it. Tell the world. Cristy, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you choosing to spend it here on Young Smart Money.
Thank you.
All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Young Smart Money. Again, if you guys did enjoy the show, do remember to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. It really does help us get in front of more people with the show. It helps you hear from even more amazing guests. It just makes the world go round when you do smash that 5-star in iTunes. And if you guys want me to shout you out in my Instagram story, I am always up for that. So if you send a screenshot of your review to Apple Crider Official on Instagram, shoot me a DM of that, or just tag me in it. Would love to repost it on my short story and give y'all a shout out there. Otherwise, I hope you guys do have a wonderful day, whether you're out walking the dog, whether you are at the gym, whatever you are up to on this fine day. I hope it is a splendid one, and I will see you in the next episode. Have a wonderful day. Real quick, just launched a new project called the Online Course Examiner, basically the Yelp of online courses. It is blowing up lately. onlinecourseexaminer.com. Check it out.